Aasha, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Paul. It's great to be here.
Great. So could you tell me a little bit more about myGwork and what it is you do for your clients?
Absolutely. Yes, of course. So myGwork are the world's largest professional network for the LGBTQ plus business community, working with graduates and professionals from not just the LGBTQ plus community. In fact, we do a lot of work across multiple communities, approaching things from a very intersectional lens. So we work with clients sort of three specific ways. First and foremost, it's about helping to position their organisation as an employer of choice for diverse talent, helping them to foster inclusive practices to ultimately create a more inclusive workplace. And we do that in a number of different ways. The second part of the offering is around employer branding events and engagement. So that's where we're working with organisations to provide them with a platform from where to be visibly participating in those big DE&I awareness campaigns, having a seat at the table when discussing big DE&I topics affecting their industry. And the last piece is really around learning and development. So we provide a sort of very broad spectrum of different training courses covering multiple sort of DE&I related topics, everything from your LGBTQ plus type trainings through to things around neurodiversity, mental health, disability, and also looking at things from more of a strategic level, so providing support to DE&I professionals, hiring managers in the business. So it's a full sort of multi-purpose platform.
Brilliant, thank you. And how do you feel, and if we think just around the LGBTQ population, how do you feel about the priority that organisations are giving that area in terms of its hiring strategies? Are you seeing enough commitments there?
I mean, it definitely varies from organisation to organisation. I think, whenever we're dealing with talent acquisition or anyone from sort of the hiring part of the business, they all are mostly on board with the fact that inclusive hiring practices are crucial for attracting and retaining top talent. So there's always a sort of an appreciation for the importance of creating a workplace where employees feel safe and respected and valued, and that they are all aware that inclusive policies can enhance an organisation's reputation as an employer of choice. But there are lots of different factors that influence whether or not they can move forward with implementing the right support to do that. But generally, overall, especially obviously the clients we currently have, they are all very much committed to that, fostering that inclusive workplace and recruiting from diverse talent pools.
And then my next question is, if you're embarking on a new conversation with a new client who are really not doing enough, what are some of the things, like what advice are you going to be giving that organisation to really kind of set out its program around inclusive hiring for the LGBTQ community?
Well, I mean, there's so much, Paul. I mean, I could talk to you about this alone for an hour, but I'll try and summarise it, some of the kind of top ones. I think one of the first things we look at is their inclusive policies. So, just ensuring that, they've got non-discrimination policies in place, and ensuring that, those are, that those policies explicitly prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity and gender expression. And that also sort of feeds into the inclusive benefits. So ensuring that there's the right support for LGBTQ plus employees around health insurance for same-sex partners, parental leave, that includes adoption and surrogacy and gender affirming healthcare. So we start from that, looking at things from that policy driven place. And then I think it's around fostering that inclusive culture. So one of the things that most of our clients come forward to us for support with are things around training and education. So providing regular training on LGBTQ plus issues, not just during Pride Month, but, throughout the year, looking at, ways in which they can maintain momentum around those important conversations around unconscious bias, educating employees and management about the importance of inclusion and respect, pronoun usage, all that sort of thing. So all those kind of, aspects of fostering that inclusive culture are things that we talk to our clients about a lot. And And then I think it's around promoting visibility and representation. I think, it's important that LGBTQ plus leaders, those that are in leadership positions, ensure that their voices are being heard in decision-making processes, and that there's that opportunity for storytelling. So making sure that people are able to share their stories and experiences of LGBTQ plus employees to highlight their contributions and challenges, and overall fostering a culture of empathy and understanding. But there are many other points, but I think those are probably my top three.
And just going back to the culture area, which I think is so important. And as I understand, you are a global organisation. You're kind of supporting global organisations, and it is challenging, obviously, when we think about LGBT inclusion across certain countries. I can't remember what the accurate number is. It's 64, 65 countries where there is legislation against homosexuality. So presumably helping organisations through that is part of what you get involved in as well, because it can be. I know we find it difficult as an organisation because we are global, and there are countries where it's very difficult for our communities to be themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a very real challenge, and one that obviously we have the beauty of living in a country, in a region where we don't have any of those sorts of boundaries. But I feel what we do with clients, especially our global clients, is that we just try to work within the parameters that we can. The platform is a global platform. Colleagues and candidates can engage with it wherever they are. I think we have organisations that are just committed to making sure that their brand is seen as one that is inclusive, and therefore are happy to have their branding, their jobs, their opportunities, their resources, their people visible in those regions. And I guess the beauty of the platform is that they don't necessarily have to be actively making decisions that could work against them from a legal standpoint, but they still are in their own way making a point of delivering a message of inclusivity. So it is challenging. We have had situations where we've had to take jobs down from certain regions or remove certain resources. It doesn't happen often, and I think we just have we just sort of tread around it really delicately and carefully and respond to the business requirements.
Understood. Thank you. Last question from me. You are one of the founding members of the AMS D&I Alliance, and we're delighted to have you in the Alliance. I wonder what you see, Aasha, as the opportunity for myGwork being part of the Alliance.
I mean, there are so many. I mean, we're absolutely thrilled to be part of this alliance. I mean, first and foremost, of course, it's just the exposure that we're getting to so many other organisations that are, committed to inclusivity and want to find out more about how we can support them in getting more LGBTQ plus candidates into their organisation. But not just that, the fact that we're able to, provide support and resources on that education piece. Now we have access to such a big sort of audience of organisations across multiple industries, particularly around the PSR piece. That's really, really, really fantastic, because we're making change, we feel, at a slightly more impactful level with those sorts of clients. So that's really fantastic. But then as well, it's just having the opportunity to work with AMS, Paul, you and your team, who are fantastic, and the other alliance partners who are a phenomenal group. I've learned so much from them around the other communities that they represent and they're working with. And it's just a very, very fantastic collaborative environment where together we feel that we'll be able to make a really big impact.
Thank you. And we are certainly excited for the plans for the year ahead, and really how we can start or continue to make a difference across all of our customers. So Aasha, thank you so much for your time today, and really appreciate you joining me today, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Paul.